What is going on, YouTube? We have made it to NFL Week 8, and today I'll be sharing my top player prop picks for the slate. It's going to be a longer video. I've got a ton of plays that I'm going to go through for you guys. We've been on absolute fire. I swept the board yesterday in college football. We've made profit in 3 out of 4 days in the NBA. I think I've been making profit in the last 5 weeks in NFL with like a 12-1 mixed in there, a 10-3 week mixed in there. Last week, I think I went 9-2. We've just been absolutely rolling right now, so hopefully it continues into a week 8 tomorrow. Before I get into plays, just a couple quick housekeeping items. So number one, if you want to join our free Discord server, the link to join is in the description below. We've got about 1,700 people in there. It's a really active community. Just join in, post your plays, post any questions you might have, be an active member, and just be a welcome person in our community. We're building something pretty good over there, so hopefully you can come on and join in. Secondly, if you want to see every single bet that I place, and if you want to see all of these plays I'm talking about in the YouTube video, earlier on in the week on like Tuesday or Wednesday, you have to sign up for the VIP package. If you want to get a 7-day free trial to that, there's a link located in the description below where you can get just that. And then lastly, I'll be sharing my plays using Outlier.bet. This is my research tool that I use every day. If you want to try out Outlier for yourself, there's also a link in the description below. Since this video is going to be pretty long, I'm just going to get right into it. You might see me looking all over the place. I've got my notes over here on my other monitor, so if I keep looking that way, that's exactly what I'm doing. So I'm just going to get started here. Let's go to my first play. The first one I posted on earlier in the week was Tua under 205.5 passing yards. This line has now moved down to 196.5, but I'll touch on it anyways, as if I was playing it at the 205.5 since that's where I have. But basically, I took this play because the Falcons' pass defense is legit. No quarterback has gone for over 180 passing yards against them, and that list included Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield. Tua has been rough to start this season, and he's also without Tyreek, and I also saw that they're going to try to get, I think, Jalen Wright more involved is his name. I think Wright. I don't think he's had many targets at all. But they're going to get him more involved this week with no Tyreek Hill. Maybe A-Chain gets a little bit of a break here and there. But basically, he's only averaging 187.6 yards per game this year. He's gone over the 205.5 number 5 out of 7 times. Personally, I'd probably take this under 196.5 too. It's just a really good matchup for Atlanta's defense against Tua. This Dolphins team, they're just in complete shambles right now. It's a bummer because, I personally like Mike McDaniels, but, he's probably going to lose a job over this one. They're just not a good team. That's all there is to it. And this Atlanta defense has been really good this year. Next play, we'll just go in order of what I have here on Outlier. But Sunday Night Football, we're going with Romeo Doubs over 49.5 receiving yards. He's next up against the Steelers defense. The line's actually moved up to 54.5, so I'll move that for the chart for you guys. But this Steelers defense, I talked about it last week a couple of times. It's soft. It's very soft against the pass. We saw Jamar Chase go off against them. T. Higgins had a big game against them, and I think Romeo Doubs is next up on that list. The Steelers have allowed 7 wide receivers to go for over 90 yards against them, with 6 of them being receivers out wide, just like Romeo Doubs. Doubs controls 22% of the team's target share, and he's gone over this number in 4 out of 6 games this season, averaging 51 yards per game in this sample size. They do get Christian Watson back, but they lose Dontavion Wicks. So it's really like a net zero for the Packers, and Dobbs still is the number 1 guy. And I wouldn't be shocked if he absolutely smashes this number. If you want to ladder it up, like we have with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, go up to maybe like, I don't know, if you want to go up to like 79.5 yards, maybe he can get over it. I know he hasn't done it this year, but this is the matchup to do it for him if he is going to do it. But maybe the 69.5 is a little bit more safe, but you can do what you want with it. I've got the 49.5 as the regular line, so I'm going to stick with that. Next play is my favorite play of the week. As always, this is my favorite play every single week. CeeDee Lamb over 24.5 yards on the longest reception. I'm going to filter for games with Dak Prescott. And the reasoning for this, in all of the healthy games where Dak is playing and CeeDee is playing, and they both stay healthy, which is the key here, They've gone over this number every single time. They've actually gone over 27 every single time. You see this 10 here. That was the game that Dak Prescott got hurt last season. You see the 0. CeeDee Lamb got hurt in like the first play of the game. So it's been 27 or more every single time. This number's actually gone down a little bit for once. I would have expected it to go up, but I think people are getting afraid of this Broncos matchup, which rightfully so. The Broncos are a really good pass defense, but I mean, this has been a cheat code for years. I've literally taken it every single game this season that Dak has played, and I've been taking it all last year too, up until Dak got hurt. So I'm just going to keep taking it. I'll take it probably the entirety of the season up until they make it 27.5, but super solid prop on CeeDee Lamb, even against a very difficult Dallas defense. Now, this play I'm going to talk about next, this line moved an absolute ton since I initially posted it. So the number I got for Stevenson was 61.5. That line is now 49.5 or 48.5, and I'm on the under. So I'm on under 68.5 or 61.5 for Ramondre Stevenson. The reasoning behind this one, he's coming off a pretty big game against the Titans, but I mean, how bad are the Titans? I mean, this game was a total blowout from the beginning. Cleveland's defense is way better. They're only allowing 70.6 yards per game for 5th best in the NFL. In general, Stevenson's only averaging 35 yards per game this season, and he's gone under that 61.5 number 6 out of 7 times. This 48.5 number has been 5 out of 7 times. The Browns have only allowed 2 players to rush for more than 52 yards against them in 7 games. And you also have to think, TreVeyon Henderson's got to get involved at some point. I know his snaps have been going way down. Even Terrell Jennings has been getting snaps and carries ahead of Henderson lately, but they drafted him high. I would think at some point they're going to start utilizing him. But I might make this play at 48.5 if you really want to. The 61.5 is a stone cold lock, but you're never going to get the number at this point. But if you really want to take this 48.5, I wouldn't follow you, but just know that it is a lot more risky than the number you could have got earlier on in the week. Next play is another under on a rushing prop, and it is Christian McCaffrey, under 66.5 rushing yards. McCaffrey was insanely efficient last week, going for 24 carries on 129 yards, but that was his first game in 2 seasons with over 79 rushing yards. Over the last 2 years, McCaffrey has played 11 games, and he went under the 66.5 number 8 times. The Texans have only allowed 1 running back to have more than 66 rushing yards against them in 6 games, and they've held Kenneth Walker, Kyren Williams, Tony Pollard, Travis Etienne, and Derrick Henry all under 66.5 rushing yards. So very difficult matchup for McCaffrey. He's had efficiency problems all year. I've actually been taking his under most of the year. Got burned on it a little bit, obviously on prime time against Atlanta, but I think he just gets back to his normal self and struggles on the ground. And especially, Mac Jones is going to be the quarterback. This game's going to be a rough one because Houston's without Nico Collins too, and it might just be an ugly game altogether. But I'm going to take this under on McCaffrey again, and hopefully this recent trend holds true for him, and he comes back down to earth compared to that 129-yard game he had on primetime last week. Next play is moving over to this Titans team, which is very bad, but they're even worse this week. No Calvin Ridley, which just makes it even more of a mess for this Titans offense. And they are 14.5-point underdogs against the Colts, which you don't really see that a ton in the NFL. You see it a lot in college, obviously, but it's very rare you see 2 touchdown favorites in the NFL. But basically, Ayo led the team in targets, well, second in the team in targets, but he led the receivers in targets last week without Ridley. He had 5 in that scenario. The Colts defense, they are actually giving up the 3rd most receiving yards per game to wide receivers this year. I think part of that is because, they're getting up to such a big lead early on that they're just sitting back. Their secondary is sitting back. They're playing, lackadaisical coverage and just letting these teams going up and down the field because they're up by so many points at that point, and it really doesn't even matter. But, I think Ayo, Jefferson, DK, all these guys, Okongwu, any one of these receivers or tight ends for the Titans are solid plays. They all have really low receiving props, and like I said before, the Colts give up a lot of receiving yards to wide receivers this year. So I think Ayo is probably going to get the most targets. I'm thinking maybe like 4 catches for maybe like 45 yards. Like, it's not going to be a huge game by any means, but it should be enough to go over this 36.5 number. Moving over to another regular play, we are going with Breece Hall over 21.5 receiving yards. Now, this is more of a matchup play. Justin Fields is going to be the quarterback, which is very scary. Just in general, this Jets team is awful. They might actually win this game. Who knows? But they've been so bad this year. But Breece Hall, he's a stud. Who knows if they'll trade him or not at the deadline. But basically, the Bengals are giving up 44.3 receiving yards per game to running backs. They've allowed 6 running backs to have 30 or more receiving yards against them in 7 games this season. Hall should be a staple in this offense. No Garrett Wilson this week again. Just this Jets offense is so bad. He can honestly get this on one catch too. So Breece Hall over 21.5 receiving yards, another solid play this week. And then I think I only have one more regular play here. I do. Give me a second to get a drink quick, though. All right, so we're going with Quinshon Judkins, going back to that Patriots and Browns game, but we're going with the under 65.5 rushing yards. So nobody has been able to run on New England at all this year. The Patriots are only allowing 59 rushing yards per game. That is second best in the NFL. They actually haven't even allowed a running back to go for over 50 yards against them this year. I know Judkins is a stud. I know he's looked amazing in recent games, but you also got to look at the matchups in this scenario. He was 84 yards against the Dolphins, one of the worst run defense in the NFL. 110 yards against the Vikings, a bottom 10 run defense in the NFL. Now, he did have a good game against the Lions, which are a really strong run defense, but that was in a blowout loss. And then he also had a really good game against the Packers, and they are a solid defense too. But this is the toughest matchup he's going to see the entire season so far, with the way the Patriots are limiting running backs. Like I said, not a single one has had 50 or more yards, and that list includes some pretty decent players too. But I'm going to go with this Judkins. It's against the grain here. No one's going to want to take this under, and those are my favorite kinds of plays. So that's going to wrap up the regular bets for the week. Now let's move over to the parlay fillers or goblin plays, whatever you want to call them. Basically, these are plays that you can mix and match in your parlays. You can pick and choose if you wanted to use like 4 of them together on PrizePicks or something. It's usually over even money as 1.5x or something like that. If you can take 3 of them, it's usually even money, or mix and match them with these regular plays that I just mentioned a minute ago. But basically, I would use it like a 90% win rate for all sports. I don't think I've lost a parlay filler in the NFL in 4 or 5 weeks or so. So they've been straight money for us lately this year. And I got 5 of them here that I've got for this week. The first one is going to be for Sunday Night Football, and it is Tucker Kraft over 24.5 receiving yards. Basically, same matchup as the Dobbs scenario. Pittsburgh is allowing a lot of yards in the air. They're allowing 67.2 yards per game to tight ends, which is 28th in the league. So that's 5th worst or 4th worst or so. Kraft is he's averaging 54.3 yards per game this season. He's gone over this number in 5 out of 6 games. And the Steelers have allowed 8 tight ends to go for 26 or more yards against them so far. Tucker Kraft is the number 2 receiver, essentially. He has a second most target share on the Packers offense. Team that generally prefers to run, but they're going to more of a 50-50 split this year on the pass versus run rate. But this Kraft 24.5 receiving yards, this number is just too low. Just insane spot for him. That's not my favorite one of the week. This one is my favorite one of the week for the parlay fillers. Dalton Kincaid over 19.5 receiving yards. You can see he's gone over this number in all 5 games this year, averaging 57.4 yards per game. The matchup couldn't get any better for him. The Panthers, they allow 67.9 yards per game, 4th worst in the NFL at that number, and they've actually allowed a ton of players to go over this number this season so far. They've allowed 11 tight ends to have 20 or more receiving yards against them this season, and that's only in 7 games. So that's a massive sample size. Kincaid can get there in literally one play. As long as this game doesn't get too out of hand, instantly, Kincaid should easily go over this 20 number or 19.5 number to cash your parlay fillers or Green Goblin plays. So moving on, we're going with Alvin Kamara over 2.5 receptions. So there's no Kendry Miller, but it's not like Miller steals much in the passing game anyways. Even though Kamara's numbers are way down this season with a 12.1% target share, he has gone over this number in 5 out of 7 games. Tampa also allows the 4th most receptions per game. Their running backs at 5. and 5.4. And like I said, Kamara just has no competition on this team for targets, at least the running back position. Miller's going to be out. Kamara's probably going to have like 80% of the snaps, 85% of the snaps. He should easily be able to get at least like 3, 4, maybe even 5 catches in this one. I think I laddered him up against Buffalo, or I think it was against the Giants. I think we ended up going with the 1.5, 2.5, and 3.5. I'd probably do the same here. Go with the 2.5 and the 3.5 on the Kamara receptions. All right, I got 2 more for you guys. I know long videos, so I'm getting tired too, but next one is Courtland Sutton, over 29.5 receiving yards. He's got this easy matchup against that Dallas defense at home in a game that could shoot out if the Dallas offense does perform. But, Sutton's had a couple really bad games. He also had some really good games. He's averaging 67 yards per game this season, and he's gone over this number in 5 out of 7 games. He leads the team with a 19.1% target share. And the Cowboys have allowed 13 receivers to go for 30 or more yards against them in 7 games. And they allow the 3rd most receiving yards per game to wide receivers at 168.9 yards per game. One more play, it is Jonathan Taylor, which honestly I don't love, but it just kind of fits and it makes sense to me. So, I think if one were to lose this week, it's probably this one. But anyways, Jonathan Taylor over 69.5 rushing yards. Taylor has had 70+ yards in 6 of 7 games this year, with the only time going under in that 40-6 blowout win against the Raiders, where he didn't really need to. He leads. The Titans are allowing the 3rd most rushing yards per game at 114.3 yards per game. And Taylor actually already ripped them for 102 yards this season and put up 218 yards against them last season. 5 running backs have gone for 70 or more yards in 7 games against the Titans. So, I'm tired. That's a lot of plays for you. Where am I at? I'm at 60 minutes for you guys now. So I told you guys it was going to be long and a lot of talking, but a lot of good plays in there. Hopefully the hot streak continues this week. Like I mentioned before, join the free Discord server so you can just be an active member in our community. And also, if you want to become a VIP to get these plays earlier on in the week, that link is also located in the description below. Appreciate you guys sticking around. If you made it to the end, kudos to you. Best of luck on your bets this week, and thank you guys for watching.